Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting. We're glad you're with us this morning. It's November 5th, 2021. Our agenda this morning, we'll start out with success stories, and then we will have everybody put their 30-second introductions into the chat window. After that, we'll go to our committee reports, hear about workshop, job fairs, practice interview team, interview success workshop, and the career tip of the week. And then we will have our main event, which today happens to be open forum. If you have questions throughout the presentation, you're welcome just to enter them into the chat window. We'll be putting all your 30-second introductions into the Zoom chat window. For those watching on Facebook, you're welcome to enter your information into the comment field on Facebook. I am monitoring that feed. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morse. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior person who was leading the group landed a job and said he wanted to take over. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, after being invited to go to the White House, I started a second website called careerusa.org to help those outside the DFW area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search that you may not know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a couple minutes. Well, we'd like to start the meeting off with success stories. Do we have any landings, any good news to share out there from anybody? I did not get any emails this week. All right, well, we'll move on. Okay, what we want everybody to do now, if you will, is please open up the chat window, and in the chat box or on the Facebook comment field, please put in your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. And what we will do is I will put all that information out this afternoon in an email. And please look over the list this afternoon and see who you can help on the list. Who do you have contact? Maybe you have a contact at one of these companies that somebody's out there looking for and that you can help them out. So we would greatly, greatly appreciate if you would do that. So I'll put 30 seconds on the clock. There's plenty of time. You can continue to do that while we're moving on here. So please put the information in, because that way I also use the information to update the roster of who's attended. And if you're using this event for Workforce Commission as a event, I'll have you registered. So in case they happen to reach out and want to find out who you really at that event, I will know. All right, it's time to hear about job and career fairs, training, and workshops. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday, everybody. As Jeff said, my name is Eldon Zarinsky, and I'm here today to provide you information on career and job fairs and special workshops or events. The information that I'm going to cover comes from the calendar tab from the website careerdfw.org, which is on the screen in front of you. I go through these items fairly quickly, so if you hear something that catches your ear, I urge you to go to the appropriate tab, click on that item, and find out more about the events you're interested in. This week's career and job fairs. Job fair, inlandport.org and Sycamore Services. That will be held Friday, November 5th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the H building at 3030 North Dallas Avenue in Lancaster, Texas. Envoy Air is having a hiring event on Saturday, November 6th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Envoy Air headquarters, 4301 Regent Boulevard in Irving. The Dallas Water Utilities hiring event will be held at Martin Luther King Branch Library at 2922 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Dallas on Wednesday, November 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're looking for water meter technicians and water meter readers. And there's information about that on the website. Special workshops or events. Find out about Career DFW and careerusa.org and how to use them. This first one's a private event that'll be held Tuesday, November 9th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. There is a link there if you'd like to find out where there are other offerings of this particular workshop, and I urge you to go check that out. Also online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m., Tuesday, November 9th from 1 to 2:30. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, or Kurt Vondemutter for an online session on LinkedIn. And there's a Facebook link and a Zoom link to participate in that event. Also online, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Wednesday, November 10th from 10 a.m. to noon. There's a registration link on the calendar for that event. This is hosted by Foster Williams. And if you don't know Foster, I would urge you to get to know him. He's one of our local area recruiters, and he's a great guy on top of that. Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. This workshop is hosted by Mark McDonald, leader of the pit crew, and Walt Glass, who runs our interview success workshop. For November and December, join them for the special guest speaker series. And I'm sure when they get up to talk after I do, they'll have more information about what's coming up on that. There's also information, I believe, starting in January on the next iteration of their 13-part session on interviewing. And there's a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate. This is a public event. Find out more about Career DFW and careerusa.org and how to use them. This is on Wednesday, November 10th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Learning Center number 2, room 102 at 2021 Nottingham in Denton. Jeff Morris, who's the leader of this group, will be speaking on about Career DFW and careerusa.org. And finally, online networking webinar will be held Thursday, November 11th from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Join Career DFW and careerusa.org the second and fourth Thursdays from 1 to 2:15 for the networking seminar. They'll have different speakers each session talking about networking. And there's a Zoom link and a Facebook link on the calendar for you to participate in that. And that's it for this week.
Eldon, thank you very, very much. If you know somebody who just lost their job, please let them know about Career DFW and careerusa.org. Both resources are totally free. We're just here to, help people, and so please join. If you know somebody else who's unemployed, let them know about the services that Career DFW and Career USA provides for free. All right, it's time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
All right, well, good morning, everybody, and let me post up some information here. And you will notice an upgrade. I've leveled up. The pit crew now has a website. Thanks to Jeff, who has added a URL, dallaspitcrew.com, and also dallaspitcrew.org, but let's go with dallaspitcrew.com. And so that'll take you directly to a website with information about how the pit crew works and what you need to do if you want to get involved, and all the other things I talk about. The pit crew is completely free. I'm looking for more volunteers. Don't let me forget to mention that. In 2 weeks, we've had two, one each week. We've had two of my panelists find positions, and so they're going to be busier. And I'm looking to, backfill those slots with other volunteers. And the only thing that's a prerequisite is that you've been a hiring manager as part of your professional responsibility, and that includes talent acquisition if you're an HR professional. And just reach out to me and I'll tell you some more about it, how to get you involved, and you get a lot out of it, and it's an opportunity to help others while you're in job transition. So when you're ready to practice, and I encourage you to practice, our tagline is practice early and practice often. So the more you practice, the better you're going to be at it. And unless you do it kind of regularly, it's not like riding a bicycle. Once you've learned it, you can do it. You need to keep it up. I remember my son, who graduated from college a few years ago. I coached him up when he was a senior, and he landed a great job, and then he got laid off about 18 months later. And he started interviewing again, and he said, Dad, you know, I used to interview a lot better. So just in that short amount of time, he kind of got rusty. So yeah, come and practice. All you need to do is send in a job description, and it can't be a job description that, you know, just looks great to you, something that, you know, the perfect job for you, even if it's in a city, you know, that you'd never consider moving to or whatever. It's just an opportunity to practice, okay, to tell your story, to ask questions, to build rapport, to have a good opening, have a good closing. All those things are you can practice even if you have a job description that's not a job that you would consider taking. So a dream job or a generic job description, that'd be good. Now, a lot of people do come and practice for the series of interviews, and we have one coming up on Monday who practiced for his first interview with Amazon, and now he's going to practice before his second interview with Amazon. And so that happens as well. You can come back multiple times. That's the point. Is the pit crew is very flexible, and we want to help you be prepared for your interview. So when you're ready, send in a job description and send in your resume and send in the times you're available, +2 and +3 days. And that'll get me started, and we'll go to work setting up a practice interview for you, which will last about 45 minutes. The whole session lasts about 1 hour and 15 minutes. The interview about 45 minutes, and then there's feedback afterwards. We do it on Zoom, so it's a virtual interview. You get a recording afterwards, so you can review how you did and what the questions were. And it's very effective. And like I say, come back, practice early, practice often. And you can send that information to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. I just talked about two-way interviews where it's a mock interview, right? Very customized and personalized to your situation with the job description and your resume. The Pit Crew also has an offering to allow you to practice one-way interviews. And my goal with this setup is to get you comfortable with a one-way interview tool, because I got to say, I've done it. It's very awkward when there's nobody on the other end, no feedback at all. You know, you just have a time limit and you have a question and you got to answer it. So I make it pretty straightforward. I give you the questions in advance so you can prepare, and then I give you a chance to interact with the tool. So that's the goal, just to get you comfortable interacting with the tool. And it's called Easy Hire. It's a professional tool people pay money for. Jeff got it donated to us to use. And it's 4 questions. And afterwards, you get the video and you look at it and see how you did. And you can do that multiple times as well if you'd like. It's completely confidential. Once I put your name, your email into the system, then it kind of all happens automatically. You'll be contacted by the tool with a link. You'll access the tool, and then you'll be contacted afterward with a link to your video. And so nobody's going to see that but you. So that's the one-way tool. Thanks for that. And link in with me. There's my LinkedIn profile. You can search on Pit Crew. You can search on Mark A. McDonald and put that middle initial in there, and it'll pop up. And so just send me a note, though, because I'd like to know where we met. And we don't get to interact as much as we do when we were face-to-face. So, and then finally, I want to go over, as Eldon mentioned, what's coming up on the Wednesday webinar that Walt and I give. So last week was behavioral interviewing with Paul Walsh, and that's available on Jeff's Career USA YouTube channel. All these videos at the Pit Crew and the interviews are available, plus a bunch of others that Jeff will talk about. But last week was behavioral interviewing. This week is interviewing with Gail Bridgman, who's a well-known recruiter in this area, and I think she kind of focuses on technology recruiting, high-tech stuff. And then the 17th, so that's the 10th. The 17th is lessons from the Pit Crew, where we go over common mistakes and how to avoid them. So the things to do instead of making the mistakes that most people commonly make when they come to the Pit Crew or they go to Walt's Interview Success Workshop. And then the 24th is no meeting because of Thanksgiving. And we've got 4 more. Is it 4 more? No, 2 more in December, and then the Christmas holiday and the New Year's holiday comes along, and so 2 more after that in December. I think that did I tell you it's free? The Pit Crew's free. I think I told you it's free. Did I tell you I'm looking for volunteers? Yeah, I think I told you that. Did I tell you you should practice early and practice often? Okay.
Right. You got them all. All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Good morning, Walt.
Well, good morning, and I'm reminded of the email that Mike Ray sent out about getting older, where the woman says, my memory is getting so bad I can plan my own surprise birthday party. So, yeah, I understand that about memory. I remember things about 50 years ago, but yesterday what I ate is a hard bargain for me to figure out what it was. Well, welcome this morning. My name is Walt Glass, and I enjoy helping people gain skills and confidence for a successful hiring interview. So I do something a little different than the pit crew does, which I heartily recommend. And it's the idea of selling ourselves. A lot of people are a little bit nervous and have some anxiety about selling ourselves. We're not comfortable with doing that. We ought to figure out in our minds just exactly what we're selling to our company and what they are buying. So I built a model back in 2000. I call it the I am, I do, I help model, because we sell our character, our personality, who we are. We sell what we do. That's our skills, background, experience, hard skills, things like that. And then how we can help them, which are the results of putting together who we are and what we do to achieve results, which is why people are hiring us. They have needs, they have some problems, issues, something's going on. They need help with it to achieve certain things. So we would like to be able to sell to those. So I put together the workshop back in 2000 and got a job after thought I'd be working in 3 months. Took me 15 months to get a job. Screwed up an interview. So the birth of the workshop occurred at that time. So now for the last several years since I've been retired, I offer the workshop again, and it's free. You have to be registered to attend. Look me up on LinkedIn. I got an email from a person that said I found it kind of difficult to find you on LinkedIn. So I'm going to give you the tip. You look under Walt Glass. That's how you find me on LinkedIn. And in the About section, it tells you something about the workshop. My Yahoo address is reserved for the workshop. Just send me a note. Be glad to have you register. I'll give you some available dates that we're having it. I want to do a couple of people at a time, and it's very informal. The major difference is this is not a mock interview. It's a learning interview. We put our learning hat on. You will get an interview. You'll get a video of your interview. You get some handouts and a video over the handout along with that. But the idea is how do we really sell ourselves, and how do we differentiate ourselves between other candidates? So we'd like to have some fun. In this interview, you can pause and think, what a clever idea, before you answer. One of the rules I have is if you don't know what you're going to say, don't talk, because we get ourselves all messed up. So I'll be glad to have you participate. Just send me that email. Come on down. It's free. Be glad to have you. I'm going to raise prices in January, so you want to get on. I'm going to raise it about 50%, so you want to get on now before the first of the year. Is it interviewing that you dread when they pick others than you instead? Here's what I suggest you do. It's practice that rings true. Get that job and bring home the bread.
You messed me up today because you didn't say learning without squirming. So I wasn't sure it was time to advance the slide or not.
Well, I did have one participant that squirmed without learning. So he did some squirming, but no learning. So yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for my reminder.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We have a new career tip of the week reader. So Liz, good morning, and thank you for being with us today.
Good morning, everyone. I am Liz London, and I will be reading the tip of the week, which is how to find a recruiter to level up your job search. Finding a recruiter in 2020 looks entirely different than it did last year. The effects of COVID-19 have severely impacted businesses around the globe, and the norms of recruiting and how to find a recruiter have changed. With such a high volume of applicants and a completely digital hiring process, it's more important than ever to stand out from the crowd. Working with a third-party recruiter could be exactly what you need to get ahead in this competitive job market. Keep in mind that headhunters and executive search professionals fall under the umbrella of the term third-party recruiter. Working with a recruiter can be a win-win situation that speeds up your job search. If you know how to find a recruiter and maximize your time working with one, it could be a game changer for your career as well. So here are 5 expert tips on how to find a recruiter. Number 1, start by leveraging your contacts. In order to find a trusted recruiter, it helps to start within your personal and professional circles. Leverage your contacts and reach out to friends, family, and even your school alumni network in your field. Ask if they can introduce you to any recruiters based on your experiences. Mutual connections help start a recruiter relationship off to the right foot. However, a glowing personal recommendation doesn't exempt you from vetting the recruiter yourself. Number 2, evaluate recruiters based on your own criteria. Recruiters are similar to salespeople in the sense that they are selling jobs to candidates and then selling those candidates to hiring managers. Be sure to do your due diligence to determine that you and your recruiter are on the same page. Understanding how recruiters find candidates can help you increase the likelihood of finding the right opportunity as quickly as possible. So here are a few questions to ask yourself. Number 1, is the recruiter professional, organized, and tech savvy? Is the recruiter clear about when and how they can be reached? Are they responsive? Is the recruiter willing to assist you in preparing for an interview they help set up? Does the recruiter seem to have your best interest in mind? And does the recruiter seem willing to stay in touch even if working with them doesn't work out the first time? Number 3, use LinkedIn to maximize connections and recruiters. LinkedIn is one of the best platforms for connecting with recruiters. Recruiters on LinkedIn search for candidates based on their work history, job title, and college. And here are a few ways to make sure your profile is helping you rather than hurting you. Express your personal brand on LinkedIn, and don't forget to optimize your LinkedIn summary with industry keywords too. Remove irrelevant work experience to accurately represent your goals. Make sure nothing is outdated so you appear in the right recruiter search. Let recruiters know you're open to opportunities, and change your settings to letting recruiters know you're open on your LinkedIn profile. Join and participate in LinkedIn groups. Recruiters notice how active you are in your industry. Update your skills section and request endorsements. LinkedIn takes endorsements seriously, and recruiters may use these sections to filter out candidates. Number 4, focus on finding recruiters who understand your niche. Finding a recruiter who fully understands the nuances of your industry might take more work, but it will undoubtedly be worth it. Some of the best recruiters are industry focused, so they can use their expertise to make the most accurate matches. LinkedIn is great for working with recruiters to a certain extent, but it has its limitations. You might need to get creative for searching recruiters directories by using findmyrecruiter.com. Tools like these allow you to apply specialized filters for finding a recruiter. And after all, highly sought out recruiters who understand your niche can be difficult to find. Number 5, build meaningful relationships with recruiters at scale. In an ultra competitive world, you have to get in front of as many recruiters as possible to hedge your bets. Recruiters recognize the fact that you're working with multiple different people, but they won't be impressed if you advertise it. Avoid awkward mix-ups by using a spreadsheet or another organizational method to maintain information about your recruiter contacts. Take thorough notes after every interaction, include the date, and add them to your designated spreadsheet. It's a helpful habit to build personal recruiter relationships that go beyond the surface level, especially in a world where you can only be judged by your digital interactions. It pays to follow up promptly and thoughtfully. Use the same strategy for fostering professional relationships through networking. Good luck, everyone, and have a good day, a good rest of your day.
Liz, thank you very much. You can always find the latest career. You can find this career tip of the week and all the other tips. They change every Saturday afternoon on the Career DFW and careerusa.org website. All right, if anybody's interested in going to lunch, I'm tired of having sandwiches out of my refrigerator this week. So today at 12:30, I will be at Jason's Deli at Parker and Preston. So if anybody's interested in going, let me know between now and the end of the session, and I will meet you there. So I'm just in the mood for something other than a sandwich at my house. So I'm getting out of the house and I want to see you in person. So today, 12:30, Jason's Deli, Parker and Preston. Oh, sorry about that. I guess I didn't have the slide up. I apologize for that. If you've got a camera on your computer, please let us see. We want to see your smiling faces. We're going to be doing open forum today. So we want to be able to see everybody who's asking questions and stuff. And I'll stop sharing so we can see everybody around here. So if you've got a camera, please turn it on so we can see you. We really appreciate it. In just a couple of minutes, we'll start open forum. We'll answer whatever questions you've got about your job search. You already have one person's already sent me a question, so we'll get those questions answered for you in just a couple of moments. Coming up here next week, Career DFW is turning 13. It's hard to believe it's been almost 13 years since we got things started. It's also hard to believe that I'm giving the same presentation 3 different times in a row. Tuesday's private, Wednesday's actually going to be in person up in Denton, and then Friday I'll be doing it here online for anybody who wants to see it. So how to use Career DFW in your job search, and I only do it once a year for this group, and I do it right around the birthday. So you get a little bit of history of Career DFW and how to use it, and I'll point some things out about that. In 2 weeks, the psychological impact of unemployment. It's a tough, being unemployed is tough. You go through a lot of issues and things. So we will talk about that in 2 weeks. And then the Friday after Thanksgiving, there will be no meeting because it's the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we will take.
Hey, Mr. Cox, how you doing?
We will take a. Whoops, there we go. We'll take a break and not meet that 1 week. All right, I just need to mention this. Career DFW and the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are 2 different organizations. Career DFW is a 501c3 nonprofit I started back in 2008. The North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group is a bunch of great people who used to get together in person. Hopefully we'll be able to get together in person after the first of the year, and also continue to meet online for those who want to meet online. But we're 2 different organizations. The only common thread between the 2 is that I happen to lead both at this point. If you'd like to overthrow me and take over the Friday networking group, you're welcome to do so. But you're not going to get Career DFW out of my hands. So I just need to mention that. Okay, it's time for open forum. We will answer whatever questions you've got. Let me stop sharing so we can see everybody up on the screen. So if you've got a question, please unmute your mic, ask away, and we will talk about whatever you want to talk about. Bonnie.
Hi, this is Bonnie. Are you going to review any cover letters during this?
Well, so let's talk about, first topic let's talk about is, yeah, I've got your cover letter here. If let me open it up. First, let me throw the question out to the group. Do you use cover letters? How often do you use cover letters? Do you always send a cover letter? What do you like about cover letters? What have you learned about cover letters? Bonnie sent me one that I'll share with everybody here in just a second, but I thought before I share it, let's get some feedback from everybody. Yes, no, what do? You like them, you don't use them?
Can I just say this? The only reason why I even put a cover letter together is because I was applying on one site and it asked to also include a cover letter along with the resume and the application you were doing online.
Okay. Anybody else you want to talk about how you use cover letters? No, nobody wants to say anything. Am I going to have to call on people here today? I have a feeling. All right, let me show you this cover letter, and let's see here. And let me make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. Oops, where'd it go? Oh. Oops, too far, too big. Okay, so obviously there's a header information which you took off, which is great. You listed the company where you're sending it to. So you're talking about certain issues.
Well, the idea with these 4 bulleted areas is that as I was putting together my brand and what was unique about my experience, which is similar to what I have in the About section in LinkedIn, it may be a little long. So that's why I just wanted to get your comments, but that's what these 4 major bulleted sections are.
Okay, so my first impression is, yes, it's too long, it's too much information. The goal of a cover letter, as far as I'm concerned, and you gotta remember, everybody's got a different opinion. I'm sure Walt and Mark and anybody else who coaches on this has opinions on this, is that the cover letter should tell a recruiter why they need to pick up the phone and call you. Okay, so if they're talking about X, Y, and Z in a job description, that's all you want to talk about in a cover letter. So that's sometimes what we call it a T cover letter, where you go and you say, so you have a generic first paragraph. I saw your, the job opening on, Monster or whatever. And then the second paragraph is, you're looking for somebody who has 7 years experience doing this. I've been doing this for 10 years. You're looking for somebody who can do X, I can do X. You're looking for somebody who can do Y, I've done Y. The reason for a cover, first of all, most cover letters do not get read by recruiters. They probably would get read by a hiring manager. But if you make it evident for a recruiter, if they happen to look at it, if you make it real clear that you're looking for X, Y, Z, I've done X, Y, Z, let's talk, you're going to get the phone call. So to me, shorter is always better. Let me open up let's see here. I have a sample T cover letter I can open up. Let me look for it here. Well, let's see here. Where's it? Oh, it opened up on my other screen. So here is a sample T cover letter that we recommend that we use in our Thursday resume class. So here's just a quick little information. And then the reason they call it a T cover letter is because, in theory, let's see here, I can't draw a line, but if I could draw a line across here, here, annotate up, shoot. Technology here, this is always interesting. So the reason that they call this a T cover letter is that, so here's the T, and then you're coming down here and you're going that on the right side, here's your job requirement. Here's what I'm looking, here's the experience that I have that satisfies that job requirement. So, however you can do it, you can, if you don't want to break it up on 2 different sides, you can just have each little paragraph going. First paragraph, you're looking for somebody who can do this, I've done that, and you go back and forth. So short, sweet, to the point, just talk about what's in the job description. Remember, when you submit a resume, you only need to, I'm sure everybody here's done a lot of really great things, but you only want to tell them what the recruiter needs to know so they can match up the job description with your resume so that they will call you up on the phone. That's the whole key to the whole process. So that's what I have. I'll be glad to, I'm going to put this T cover letter in the chat window so anybody can go and download it if you'd like. Let's see here, cover letter. Whoops. Just an error message. I tell you what, I will make sure I send it out in the email I put out this afternoon to everybody. Let's see here. Nope, it does not want to go. Oh, it's because it's open. That's why. Okay, let me close out a couple documents here and I will make sure that we get this to anybody. Any other comments about cover letters? Here we go. I just put it in the comment field so you can download it out of the chat window if you'd like. Cover letters, people use them. Walt, Mark, comments?
I'll make a couple of comments. Number one is somebody made a comment. Was it Lindsay? Who was it? In the chat. Yeah, Lindsay said, if it's an option, I'll always submit one. So it doesn't hurt to submit one. They can throw it away. They can not read it, but those who want it have it. So it's going to be a negative if you attach one. I heard a person speaking last week saying older recruiters do read cover letters, younger recruiters throw them all away. It's a little bit of a stereotyping perhaps, but it doesn't hurt to submit one. But the key point I like here about whatever you do, there's two things: brevity and their frame of reference. All communications with them should be brief, to the point. Make it easy for people to understand and find out information about you. And so, of course, you make it relevant to the position. But even in the interview, it's brevity. In your communications, we talk about doing things briefly, not talking too long. And even with your cover letter, brevity. So imagine that you're the person getting the cover letter. Is it easy and quick for you to read and see the information on it? So that's kind of the test. But it works all the way through the job process.
Yeah, and I think it's a good exercise for the reasons that Jeff mentioned to prepare a cover letter, whether you choose to send it or not, or whether the applicant tracking system allows you to attach one or not, because that analysis, what they need and how you can help and what you have, making that T part of the cover letter is very helpful. And if you go into an interview, you can use that information in your introductory. Those are the points. You need to make your T cover letter, which lists all the things. But then you need to take a look at it and you say, okay, well, if it was me, right? Take their perspective. If it was me, what are the most important things on this list? Okay, because they may not be in the most important priority order. As a matter of fact, job descriptions are done by committees, and they usually may be more than a couple of years old. And so what's done at the bottom may be the most important thing because they just added it on, okay? Because the current hiring manager just added it on. But use your own judgment, take a look at it and figure out which one you think are the most important, and then you can emphasize those. And of course, when you get into the interview, you're going to ask the question, what are your highest priorities? And then you'll find out what that particular person believes is the most important things. But take a shot at it, right? That's some value add where you prioritize the items on the job description. And then I like this phrase to use in the job description is instead of saying I meet your requirements, say I have what you need. Okay. Now I think that's a little more general. Okay, I have what you need, and then you're going to go on to describe what they need and what you have. But it also is much broader because there may be things that aren't on the job description that they really need that you're going to find out when you arrive, right? And if you have some experience, you may even know of some things that they probably need, but they haven't specifically asked for. So I have what you need, I think, is a very powerful statement that gives you room to roam across all of your background and not just be limited by what was in the job description.
When you offered,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, when you offered to that we could send you a job description, and then would we include with that kind of this comparison? Here's the job description, what it's asking for. Here's what I have to contribute to that. Is that what you would look for in what we would send to you?
Are you talking about for a practice interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've had anyone ever submit not occasionally. I've had some people submit the opening letter, or the cover letter that they submitted for a job, right? So yeah, we'll take a look at it, and we're looking, that makes it easy for us as well. And certainly if you do what I said, if you prioritize things in your cover letter based on what you believe the priority is and not just the order they appear in the job description, there's value added in that as well. One of the common questions we ask people who come to the PIC group and have already had a screening interview or have already had a first round interview, we ask them, okay, well, what did they tell you were the top 3 priorities? Okay. And, a lot of people don't know because they didn't ask, but it gets you in that frame of mind, to start thinking about what do they really need? What are the top things they really need?
And I think that's why it's important. I mean, Mark and Walt both talk about, in your after your opening statement, when you're actually meeting somebody in person, is, can you tell me, there are a couple options. Number one, did you write this job description? Because like they've said, a lot of job descriptions were written 10 years ago. They just pulled it out of a book and they published it. Or, what's the most important thing that you see? What is the most important thing I could do to be successful in this role? And you find that out up front in an interview. Hopefully it's the same things that you saw in the job description, but maybe it's not. And so maybe that's a good opportunity to bring up, you mentioned the jobs, in the job description, it said that you were looking for somebody who does X, Y, Z. Is that not important anymore? I mean, whatever you can do to build some rapport is you want to make it a conversation. That's the key. And find that out up front. Don't wait until the very end where they say, well, you have any questions? Well, yeah, what are the 3 most important things about this job role? You want to ask that right up front. To me, that is the number 1 question to ask at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So I will schedule the practice interview and I'll send you the job description and what I think matches to that and put the cover letter together that way. And I've made it through 4 rounds of interviews with a top consulting firm, but they're just dragging it on. Like, how do we close this out?
Well, remember, their calendar and our calendar don't match.
I
Our
know.
time frame and their time frame don't match. They never do. Theirs is always slower. And just think about all the things that are going on and why job hiring is the lowest item on the to-do list. They're out there busy putting out fires instead of hiring somebody who can stop the fires from igniting. In the workshop, you talk about the requirements. I have a handout, and in it is a page where you actually put every requirement down the left side on a table. If there's 5 soft skills mentioned, then that's 5 different rows. And then you talk about on the next side of it, so what do you have to present that meets that requirement? And do you have any examples that you can give in a story that shows that? So you can demonstrate being collaborative in a story that you tell. So you have all these requirements done and how you're going to meet it. And it also points out any gaps that you might have if you do it that way. So in preparing for the interview or just sending in your cover letter and information, you want to make it very, very relevant. And how am I going to answer everything? Then when they come in and tell you the priorities, doesn't matter, you're prepared for all of them. I look at it like when I was going to graduate school, I said, I know how to make an A. Know everything. So I studied and I said, now you can ask me any question you want. I don't care. The hardest part of taking the test was making sure I get all the information down within the time limit. But we want to prepare like that for an interview.
Yeah, that's a good approach. I like the table view.
Okay, any other comments about comments or questions about cover letters? So what do y'all think of, let's move on to the question I've got about the career tip of the week. What do y'all think about working with recruiters? How have you found working with recruiters? Has anybody out there worked with a recruiter? How did it go? What do you like? What don't you like?
I hate it.
You hate it. Why?
I get 3 to 4 calls a day. I can't understand their English. And I mean, it's just a really cold type situation. And, most of the time I never hear back from them. Not even go to hell or whatever. So I know it's a necessary evil, but it is just totally frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. And the other question is, I'm assuming that recruiters have to submit your resume to the same ATS system that you would submit otherwise, right? In other words, are they hired by the companies to go find people, or are they just like out, searching the website for jobs, and then they get on, LinkedIn and find matches to what they're looking for, and then torment you? How do they work?
Well, there are three basic types of recruiters, okay? And if you want to ever go back, watch a LinkedIn presentation with Kurt Vonnemeyer. He talks about the three different types, very defined. I'll give you a brief overview. The first type of recruiter is an internal recruiter at a company. So they work at company X. They probably have 20 to 40 job requisitions that they're trying to fill. What they're doing is they're looking at the applications that are coming into an ATS system. As soon as they find the first 10 decent applications that have been filed, they're going to submit those 10 to the hiring manager, or they may make a phone call first. That'll be the first round of phone calls that they make. Your chance of getting, so these are applications that you would have filed via an applicant tracking system. The chance of you getting a phone call from that kind of recruiter is probably less than 2%. Those are the statistics that I've seen. So that's the first time recruiter. Now, if you apply for a job online, if you can find out who the recruiter is and call them up and say, I meet the requirements of this job, you then have a 40 or 50% chance of getting a phone call and being able to talk to somebody. And so if you take that extra step, also, if you can have somebody internal at the company submit your resume or walk it into HR saying, hey, you need to talk to this person, you have a much better chance of getting a phone call. So that's the first type of recruiters, internal recruiters at a company. The second type of recruiters are outside recruiters. They're third-party recruiters. They could be from India. They could be from here in the United States. There's plenty of third-party recruiters where they only get paid if they hire you, if you get hired. So a company can call up, 5 different recruiting firms and saying, I'm looking for a XYZ, and that company, 5 different companies then are looking for the same candidate. And they'll go out on the internet, they'll go on LinkedIn, whatever it is. There's lots of those kind of firms here in the DFW area. My last job that I got hired for was through a recruiting firm. It was through Babbage and Associates. They got 30% of my first year pay when I got hired, but they got nothing until I got hired. So that's a external recruiter. These people you get called for from India, the reason they're being called for from India is because maybe instead of 30%, they're only charging 10% of the first year's salary. So, and they are submitting, I know through Babbage, they get my resume, they take the header information off, and then they submit that resume to the hiring manager. So they've already talked to the hiring manager. Some firms are better than others. It really just will depend. You've got to, there's good ones and there are a lot of bad ones out there that do that. The third type of recruiters are a retained search recruiter, like Kurt Vonnemeyer is a retained search consultant. What he does is a company goes and pays him up front, here's 10,000 bucks, go find me somebody who can be our new controller. Now, when the job when he actually finds a candidate, he'll get 20 or 30%, whatever he worked out for a deal. He'll get that amount of the first year's salary minus the 10% or the $10,000 that they paid him to do it originally. Now, 99% of the time, he's the only person looking for this job. There's nobody else trying to fill the position. The company has reached out to one person saying, you find me that position, here's an upfront contingency fee, and then we'll pay you the balance when you land a job. So those are the three different recruiters. So that's why it's really important when a recruiter calls you up to ask, what kind of recruiter are you? How many puts have you had with the company? What kind of relationship do you have with the hiring manager? Are you a contingency recruiter? Are you a retained search consultant? There are 3 or 4 questions you should ask. And if you ask those questions, the good recruiters will tell you, and you'll have a good understanding of who they are and how they can help you. Now, I will tell you, even though Babbage, they made 30 grand off of mine when they hired me, when I got hired several years ago, they know I'm out of work. You know, they know I'm looking for a job right now, but it's the kind of thing where you've got to be proactive with the recruiter. You've got to stay on top of them, and you've got to continue to reach out to them because they're micro-focused on, I've got to do this, and I've got 20 different job applications to fill out. So you've got to sort of be pretty proactive. The calls you get from India, you know, if you don't like them, thanks, move on.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
Out on the Career USA YouTube channel, you might look at session 1, which includes working with recruiters as one of the topics, and give you some more details and the types of questions you would ask them, that sort of thing.
So this is Deborah. I've had 2 recent experiences with this. One was with a contingency search firm. It was a pretty specific job title, right? Philanthropy specialist. And I knew of the contingency firm through an accountability networking group I'm in. So I went ahead and applied for it. And in my very first call with them, they told me who the client was, which surprised me. And it's JCPenney's. It's JCPenney's for a philanthropy specialist position. And I've moved forward in the process to an interview for a contract position with the hiring manager next week. But there were at least 2 other, if not 3, contingency firms out there that had the same requisition. I knew enough not to apply to it, any of those other firms, because if they submitted my resume, then I was out of running because JCPenney's doesn't know who to pay. So I only applied through one. Now there's other contingency firms out there that have generic titles like marketing manager that I don't submit my resume to because I don't know who they are and I don't know that they're not just fishing for that title. And then my second experience recently was with a retained search recruiter, but kind of backdoor. I had a referral into the organization and they sent my resume to the hiring manager, and without even looking at it, the hiring manager sent it out to the retained search recruiter. And that's how I got the interview, because I never would have been considered by the retained search recruiter if I'd gone directly. So those are my 2 recent experiences.
Explore all opportunities.
Yeah, cool. So if you take a look at that presentation on the Career USA channel, we talk about different personas, right? So there's the inside recruiter, there's outside recruiters, and there's variations on outside recruiters. And so one of the personas of outside recruiters is the broker, I call them, okay? And so they don't have any relationship with the company necessarily. They go to the same place you go, they look on the job boards, and then they have then they may reach out to you and they may represent that they have this job opening and you'd be a good candidate. But what they're really going to do is if you bite, if you engage, they're going to go to the company and say, you know, you have this job posting and I have this great candidate who will fill your role. And, you know, we can do business together. I just need 10 grand. So that's a broker. Okay. And there's a lot of those guys around just looking at the same job descriptions you're looking at and calling up and say, you know, I've got this great job, but they don't. Okay. And that's why you need to ask this question, you know, what is your relationship with the company, you know, for this job description? So that's the broker. The other persona is the speed is the most important thing. Okay, speed is the most important thing to them. How fast they can fill the roles, and this is pretty common for lower level roles. So they're looking for the most placeable candidate, okay, the one who's got everything on the list. And by the way, they probably have their own list. You know, there's a job description, and then there's the conversation they've had with the company. So they likely do have a relationship with the company, but they're just focused on filling jobs quickly, okay? And they have a contract with the company to make 10 fills. And so, you know, you find out that, but still they're focused on the most placeable candidate and sometimes the most valuable candidate. That means the candidate that's going to pay them the most, okay? And so they are not particularly interested in spending a lot of time with you, okay? If you don't got 80 or 90% of the requirements, or, you know, 80 or 90% of the requirements as they know them from their conversation with the company, they're probably not going to spend much time at all. They're the ones that don't call you back. They're the ones that ghost you. You know, speed is their thing, and that's how they make their money. And now the third persona, though, and I think in general, internal recruiters are like this, but external recruiters that value the relationship that they have with the candidates and with the companies and are going for quality over quantity. And these are the kind of recruiters you want to find, because they will work with you, they'll help you, they'll prepare you. You still need to meet a lot of the requirements, or they're not going to have much time to spend with you. But if you do, they will coach you, get you prepared for the interview. Sometimes they'll ask you, you know, to make suggestions about how to change your resume. You know, they're trying to produce a quality candidate for the hiring company, so they get additional business. And just a much higher quality, different kind of focus. Okay, so that's the one you want to go for. You get a relationship with one of those. You want to nurture that relationship so they can help you throughout your career. And I had one of these who I worked with. You know, he placed me in the early 90s, and for the next 20 years, we worked together. You know, sometimes he helped me when I was out of work, and sometimes I sent business to him when I had people to hire. And so if you can find somebody like that, it's a relationship worth nurturing. So, and they will call you back, and they will tell you you weren't selected, although they may not tell you why, but there you go.
And also remember that, you know, not every recruiter pays for the recruiting package of LinkedIn. They don't pay $10,000 a year for a license for LinkedIn. So a lot of recruiters only go by what's on your LinkedIn profile, that you have the little green banner that says that you're open to work, open to new opportunities. So if you're looking for a job, let everybody know. Make sure your LinkedIn profile says that you're open to, you know, you're looking for work, and so that they will find you. And make sure your contact information is in your profile. I have seen so many LinkedIn profiles when Kurt Vondermatter shows us the recruiting package from the back end, and he calls up these candidates. These people all say they're open to new opportunities, they're open to new work, but yet not one of them has a phone number or an email address in their profile, not in their about section, not in their contact information. So make it easy for somebody to reach out to you, because quite frankly, recruiters, it's boom, 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 get it done. If they can pick up the phone and call you, that's what they prefer to do. If you don't want to have your cell phone number, you can get a Google Voice number and have that Google Voice number bounce to your cell phone. That way you're not giving out your personal phone number. That's the same thing. That's what the Pit Crew does. That Pit Crew phone number is a Google Voice number, and it just bounces to Mark's cell phone.
Hey, Jeff, this is Tony. Can I make a comment about that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I had a bad experience with a recruiter, but it had a silver lining. So I reached out to a recruiter. Actually, that firm has been a speaker of one of yours. And first of all, I asked, we've got these great jobs listed on your website. And they said, well, you know, we haven't done a good job cleaning them up. They're not really open anymore. And then when I spoke with the recruiter, he was very polite, but he didn't look beyond my first couple bridge jobs. And again, he was very nice, but it's rather dismissive. So the upside to that was it so motivated me. I was like, okay, I'll show you. I just redoubled my efforts to go get a job. So that was the silver lining. But I guess my overall comment is you can't totally rely on these guys or gals. You still have to maintain your own efforts to get your own job.
Yeah, it's up to you to get your next job. It's not up to anybody else.
Well,
That's
and
the key. You are in charge of your job search, not them.
And to the point about contingency recruiters, I'm really, really, really wary about this interaction I have going now. Even though I was familiar with the firm, I talked to the woman who had mentioned it to me, and I had searched that position every which way and could not find the company. And I'm pretty good at figuring those things out. So it's a contract job. It was listed as a contract job, but I'm by no means comfortable with the situation, even though I'm moving forward in the process. I mean, they didn't even interview me, nothing. They just took my resume, put it, we've gone back and forth on the form and cleared that up for the contract role, right? But nothing. They just took the resume, filled it out in their form, showed it to me, sent it in. I didn't have any say. Not a comfortable experience for sure, but I'm going to try it this time as a one-off because it's just, 30 to 90 days.
I think there are a lot of jobs that are never posted. There are a lot of lower level jobs that are posted, but I think a lot of mid and upper level jobs aren't, because they rather get a referral, or they rather, have their HR department really try to find somebody for that. You have to explore all opportunities. You just never know. Using every opportunity you can is the late Dennis O'Hagan used to talk about the Barney Fife process. And Barney Fife only carried one bullet, but he kept it in his pocket. So how good do you think he was at aiming and being able to nail his next, nail the job? If you search to a job search, he says, you've got to make sure you've got a bullet in every chamber, because you don't know which one's going to hit the target. Try everything. All right, what else can we answer for somebody?
If no one has a question, I do. I have a question about the salary question. And in a recent interview with a hiring manager, I got the salary question, and I did what I learned from Walt, in my 2 practice sessions with him. And I did all that and, asked the range question. And she said, well, we have a really wide range. So my answer back was, my market research suggests the range for this position in the Metroplex is this. And I gave her a really wide range and we moved on. Was that an acceptable way to handle it?
If Walt says so, yes.
Anything that keeps the conversation moving is acceptable.
Okay.
When you really get down to it, and it depends on where you are in the process for that question and who's asking. If it's a recruiter, when it's high, I've got this excellent job, and the next thing they ask you is the salary question, and you don't know anything, you don't have to answer right away. You can probe and ask. So yeah, but the whole objective is to keep the process going on, and you can always negotiate. The more they want you, then the better you can negotiate. So, and through the workshop how the ways that you might want to try postponing that response until later.
So in a separate salary question as well, in an email exchange for a position that's out of Austin but remote to Dallas, I said the same thing in the email. They asked me the salary question. I said, I don't know enough about the position to say this, to answer this question. And they emailed back, here's the job description, figure it out. And I was like,
well, that's not
okay.
Bad. Well, then you get an answer. So,
if you ever want to just have fun with it, this is the Steve Zipkoff rule of answering the question is, yeah. My manufactured suggested retail price is $135,000. Now, nobody pays full price, and I can't work for free. So I'm sure somewhere between free and $135,000, we can come up with something that will be fair and equitable.
Well, I'm at the point with the email exchange that I would do that, except for it's a referral from a friend's daughter, so I wouldn't want to precariously adversely affect her.
Yeah, no, that answer is something you do only in person. I've done that in person, and you get the other person smiling and they go, okay, and they move right on. So yeah, you don't do that via email or on the phone. You have to be in person for that one.
Did they provide a phone number in the email?
Yes, well, I'm dealing with at the moment, let me rephrase that. At the moment, I'm having the opportunity to communicate with the executive assistant to the CEO. So this is all coming through her.
Okay. Well, if you get this thing in a letter where you have to, just respond with a number, if they give you a phone number, I try giving them a call and say, I'd like to discuss this with you briefly. See if you can't, and then get into that information and handle it at least over the phone. It's better than just sending a response in an email.
In this particular situation, I'm perfectly fine if it doesn't move forward.
Well, so it's a good experience to go through.
Yeah, and remember
Yeah.
the key phrase is for the responsibilities of this position, I would expect, right? So you can do your market research, and then you can use that phrase, which, who did I learn that from? Not Jay, one of the J's, Jay
I think
Fusaro.
it was Jay Fusaro.
Jay Fusaro, yeah. And so I think that's a great phrase. And as you learn more about the position, you can always come back to that. So, as I understand more about the position, here's what I'd expect. And your answer in email, I think, you're just, you give a broad range at that. And like Walt said, depending on where you are in the process, it can be pretty broad at the beginning. If that's what the data says, then, that's what it is, right? It's broad.
There's another phrase you might want to use. It starts out with, based upon what I know now, I would expect something in the X to Y range. And then you ask them, of course, what is their range? But that's another phrase, because you learn different things. And now all of a sudden things change, and you can always negotiate something different later.
Thank you.
All right, what else can we answer for somebody?
I have a question,
Okay.
Kevin Ty. And as far as you get the offer and say I want a PTO of 3 weeks. I read different things about when to, negotiate. You don't want to, I don't want to, I've gotten different advice from people, so let me get some more advice. The thing that I'm going towards is I get the offer, I get the salary, I get the days off. Then I would, if I want to respond then. I'll say, listen, I would like, 3 weeks paid PTO. They're only giving me a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or the salary's a little off. And I've been told typically a 10% increase is usually within the budget. And I just want to know about the timing of when to counter. I think before you get the offer is way too early, but I just want to know what the panel thinks. That's Walt and Mark and Jeff. It's the panel.
I'll let somebody else answer first. So
Is there somebody out there that'll answer besides us?
No, I'll answer it. No. Well, why don't you go ahead? You got some wisdom on it. You and Mark and Jeff have so much wisdom. So,
Well, you hear so many things over the years, you begin to still continue to learn as things change. But I agree with you. You don't bring that up until the offer is made, right? You don't negotiate that. I strongly suggest that you use a form that says, here's my priorities and all the things that I'm looking for, and my benefits and the salary and paid time off, all that sort of thing comes up so that when you negotiate. Another negotiating thing is you negotiate money for money. So if for example, you say, well, that salary, I probably could accept that, but here's a phrase that instead of kind of like sounding like you're demanding something, or that you've got this hard stop that says, well, I need this, and it sounds like I may be throwing the job offer out the door. I'll have a phrase that says, would you consider an additional 2 weeks of paid time off. All right. And that doesn't say, I'm, it's breaking, it's a deal breaker. It's just, would you consider that? And that's a kind of a polite way of asking and seeing if they would do that. It also depends on how much they want you. If they start selling you benefits and start selling you on why you should come to work here and things like that, you can get more. So that's why you want to put all that stuff off into the offer, but have your priorities on what you want so that when you can start talking about it. So, well, that salary's a little low or some low, I was looking for this, but I'll tell you what, would you consider another, and then you trade something for something. That's the negotiation.
I would say usually I'm throwing this out for everybody else. Don't you usually want to negotiate with the hiring manager? You don't want to negotiate with HR.
Unless it's HR who makes the hiring decision.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, because that's not too often, but that happens. And then there's also companies where HR determines the salary, not the hiring manager. So you kind of find out who it is that has that power to talk to. But mostly, I would say yes, the hiring manager that's going to. But don't assume that's the case in every situation.
Yeah, I know of an executive who was interviewing at TXU, which whatever their name is now, and he got the job offer, and he went to HR to try to negotiate something, and HR said, forget it. And the hiring manager still wanted to hire him, but HR had said, nope, you're not going to hire this guy because he's asking for blah, 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 and we're not going to do that. And he messed up his opportunity for employment there.
Well, I've, just throwing in my experience with something. I agree. The HR is more about the rules and they're not gonna have to work with you. So, and they don't have the need. The hiring manager has the need. And he's much more motivated to make you happy and come on board happy rather than, here's the offer, like it or leave it. But I've in the past, not recently, but in the past, I've actually contacted the hiring manager, say, listen, I have the offer. Thank you very much. Can I discuss this with you? And really put it up to him, his decision, whether he wants to open it up or if he says no, go to HR. But I think that's the first choice I would make. And the other thing, Walt, and Mark and Jeff, sounds like the three something. When I'm making a counter, I've been advised of this a long time ago, to have your questions and your counter prioritized, but also prioritize in yes and no's. Give them, something you really want, make sure it's a yes, and then things that you don't really care about are throwaways, but you let them say no to a couple of things. And I'm wondering what the panel thinks about that.
Well, let me make a couple of comments. So I think there's only one round, so to speak, of negotiation, right? So you need to put forward, the things that you like about, and then the things that you don't, and that needs to be 1, 2, or 3 items. No, no more. There can't be this whole long list. There's this preponderance of the evidence that he's not happy with, 4 or 5 or 6 things. He's just not going to be happy here. So 1, 2, or 3 things, prioritize the ones that are important to you. And, that's, you make your counter offer, right? I like what Walt said, these aren't demands. They're, would you consider, is it possible? And then they may counter, right? With, more salary, less vacation or whatever. You bring up what you need and right up front. There's no, okay, well, now that we got this one knocked out, let's, how about this, or how about that? That's not going to work. So.
Would you, and I've done can I, I read the offer. Can I discuss this? Can I discuss this with you for some, some things that I would like to see in it? Would you mind talking about? Can I talk about it? Give them, at least, consent that he's going to hear and decide. But I also, somewhere in the back of my mind, I remember someone saying, what you want most, you don't want to ask for first. I don't know if that's, a psychological game.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I'm not a fan of asking some things to get some no's first in this particular process. At the same time, I do like your approach when it may be HR that's setting the salary. And if it's low, you go to the hiring manager, let the hiring manager go to HR to deal with the salary, not with, with HR itself. So I think that's a great thing to do.
Okay.
But you might ask when you get an offer, is this negotiable? Story about the guy who's working through a recruiter. So all the communication is going through a recruiter. And so he got the offer through the recruiter and he asked the recruiter, is this negotiable? And in this particular case, the recruiter said, oh yeah, they're expecting a counter. And so it can range anywhere from no, this is it, take it or leave it, or yes. But just ask, is this negotiable?
Yeah, I don't like that word, ask them, because it's sort of like, I know that works, but I'd rather say, can we discuss the offer for some modification, or I don't know, maybe that's not right.
Well, I'm giving you an option, and I think your approach there is just as good. You say, can we discuss this? To me, that is the same thing as saying, is this negotiable?
Well,
but that might be a little bit more, if you feel better using it that way, go for it. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Every company expects negotiations.
Yeah, I talked to a guy that's kind of representing me, and I'd seen this company that doesn't give out a lot of PTO in the beginning, and he says, don't worry about it. They negotiate that like crazy. That's totally open. Now the money's, maybe not as easy, but if they're on target to where you want, it's not a big problem. But if you're out of scope, then you're out of scope. But anyway, thank you for all the sage advice, and I really appreciate attending these meetings. And I am going to hook up with Mark with his pit crew for a interview soon. So I'm giving Mark warning, because I know I terrorized the last group. But thank you guys. You're wonderful to be able to give your energies to all of us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
What
else can we answer for somebody?
He's been through the interview success workshop twice, Mark, so he should be on top of his game.
Oh, I am. The glass method works very well.
Yeah, well, Kevin always has a lot of questions. So
the last thing I'd say about negotiation is, if you always negotiate, but you need to negotiate in such a way that you don't put them in a position where they just have to refuse.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can always negotiate. Well, sometimes we're afraid because we think they'll withdraw the offer, but it all's in the style and manner of how you do it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then, if you have a great style and approach them and they're just hardcore, well, then they're hardcore. That tells you something about the environment, the job. Forget about it. Move on, so anyway.
I have a quick question. Does anybody have any experience with applying for holiday jobs? Much to my surprise, I was turned down for one recently. I shouldn't be, because I've been turned down for everything else. So why should holiday jobs be any different? But I said I'd work for James Avery at North Park Monday through Saturday evening, 6 to 9. They still have their help wanted sign up, and they said, yeah, no thanks. And I even went in person and asked again, because like all the other types of job applications these days, they all want you to do it online. So if anybody has any ideas on that, or has anybody any ideas on who's looking, I'm looking Monday through Saturday, 6 to 9. Next up is Williams-Sonoma. And then after that, I've got 3 more on my list. I won't bore you with it. Or I'll do FedEx or UPS if I can do, if that sounds rude, if I can do. I would prefer admin. You don't want to see me delivering your packages. It just wouldn't be right.
You don't look good in brown. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I could probably pull the brown off. I probably, couldn't meet the lugging the package to your front door requirement.
the weight requirement.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Yeah, this is Tony. I'll jump in real quick. I know the post office is hiring for the holidays starting right about now. I just turned down a job with them. It pays in the 1850 range, but it will be some nights and weekends, but probably less intense than Amazon. And again, it's all online, if you will. But anyway, that's just a thought suggestion. Oh, one more comment. I've done a couple of these bridge jobs over the last few years, and I just honestly really enjoyed them. It got me out of the routine of the job search, and it expands your network. It helps a lot, I think, emotionally as well as financially. So I encourage people to do these kind of short-term gigs.
I agree with you completely. I have one at a small gift shop. I had that job for 10 years, well, 12 years now, on Sunday afternoons when I worked full time, and they were graciously kind enough to let me pick up shifts, one of which I need to go to during the week. It's just now that unemployment has ended, that doesn't quite cover it. So I have to up my bridge game.
Good.
Thank you.
What else? Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a question about interviews, face-to-face or video. So, in the last month or so, if you've had some interviews, could you just put in the chat what type they were? Phone, I guess phone, video, or face-to-face would be my question. Just curious how many interviews are now being done face-to-face.
And if they're video, were they one way or two way?
Since I'm on my iPad and I can't type, I'll just say mine have been phone or Zoom. In my most recent Zoom video, I never wanted to hit the leave meeting button as badly as I did on that one, but that was my experience.
You didn't,
I did it.
like
I
it, huh? 2 phone and 1 panel in person. Okay, Tony, yeah.
Anything else we can talk about? Any other questions you've got about your job search you'd like to ask? Going once, going twice. That it? No more? We're done for the day? How many people are anybody going to meet me today for lunch?
I will. I'll be late. I have a appointment to get a booster shot at 12:30. Well, I'll show up early, but I probably will make it about 1 o'clock.
I have my booster shot at 12 o'clock, so we can
Wish I
compare
could come.
arms.
Wish I could come. Maybe someone could send me a metaverse sandwich.
So anybody else? Just Mark?
Just me, huh? And
What time are you going to be there?
12:30.
12:30?
Well, I mean, you said, Mark, you won't be there till about 1. I mean, I can wait, and I won't rush to get to I was going to rush and get to CVS early, but.
Yeah, I might could do. I'm about a 50-50. I've got a phone call coming to see. It may preempt, but.
All right. I'll sort of wait and not get there till 12:45-ish. That way won't be too far
I've got
ahead
to
of you.
work. Oh, I've got to work, but where are you going? Just so I know. I don't know why.
Jason's Deli at Preston and Parker.
Okay. Are you back to doing this again? Because I got a lot of value out of going to the lunches. I've met some really good contacts, and we've started an accountability group.
I'm tired of eating here at home, and I'm ready to go see some people in person. So
Got it.
There's something at Jason's I want to eat today. I've already got my lunch planned. So, you get that in your mind what you want. So that's why I said, if anybody wants to go to Jason's, that's fine. So, okay, let me just share a few closing slides. So Mark, I'll meet you, maybe meet Walt. We'll just see how everything goes. So next Friday, I'll be giving my presentation on how to use Career DFW and Career USA in your website or in your job search. So please join us. If you don't want to join me live Wednesday up in Denton, you can join me Friday. We'll be here online. If you've not put your 30-second introductions into the Zoom chat window or the Facebook comment field, please do so that we can capture that information and see who we can help this afternoon and help in their job search. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Next Tuesday, how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. We do LinkedIn every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Gail Bridgman, who she works at Lee Heck Harrison, and she also does this interviewing module at the Frisco Career Transition Workshop that used to meet in person 3 times a year, and we're debating when to start that up again in 2022. So she'll be presenting that next Wednesday. And then next Thursday, being the second Thursday of the month, we'll be talking about networking. Heidi Torres will be with us to talk about how serving turns into networking opportunities. This is a great opportunity, especially this time of year, to help out and volunteer at different organizations and places, and how it's a great networking opportunity. So please join us on Thursday. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, as Mark and Walt have talked about in the past, all these sessions are here. There's over, I think, 280 workshops that have been recorded. Just pick what you want to watch. If you want to find something about resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, whatever it is, pick whichever playlist you want. And then at the bottom, don't click on the video, but click on the red arrow where it says view full playlist. And then up will come a list of the, in that playlist of the dates and the topics that we talked about. So you can go back and click on any one of them. Please note that any of the topics we talk about on the Friday meeting, you need to go about 30 minutes in to get to the actual topic, because we do record the entire meeting. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. Have a great weekend. I guess Mark and I will be taking our Tylenol as we lay low over the weekend. So from our booster shots. So for everybody else, we will have a great weekend and see you all next week.
Take care, guys. Thank you.